The state says YNW Melly is a cold-blooded, while the defense says the state can't prove it.
3 years after arresting this young man and sticking him in a cell, the state looks at its case and says, oh man, this looks a little incompetent. Miramar police seems to have botched this investigation, and they call the Broward Sheriff's Office and ask them to come and look at the investigation upon which this entire prosecution rests.
Hey yo squad, what's the drill? Back with another video, man. YNW Melly was on his way to having the whole world in his palm. He climbed the ladder to success fairly quickly and was able to get superstar features in his rookie season. As a rapper, singer, and songwriter who emerged from Gifford, Florida, a small town with a history of drama and poverty, it would appear that Melly beat the odds. With songs like Schmurder on My Mind, Mixed Personalities featuring Kanye West, Seidel featuring Juice WRLD, and 223s featuring Glock 9. Bruh wasn't missing at all. However, you already know that the street dudes in Florida really can't escape trouble. Whether they are guilty or not, it isn't the problem. The drama just seems to find these dudes in the daylight with a flashlight. After a few run-ins with the law during his ascent into stardom, the later incident will prove to be the most detrimental blow to his future. Mr. Melly is currently on trial and facing 2 counts of first-degree hit and possible loss of your life penalty for allegedly taking out his 2 friends and fellow rappers in the YNW collective, YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie. At this point, I'm sure Schmurder is the last thing on his mind, more like freedom, but nonetheless, he been in that courtroom feeling the pressure. So just what's going to be the fate for YNW Melly? Will he spend the rest of his life behind bars? Will he get a lucky break in a light sentence? Or will he have to face any time at all? We're gonna find out. So without further ado, let's skip the play and get down to business. YNW Melly was born Jamel Maurice Demons on May 1st, 1999. He was raised by a single mother, Jamie Demons King, who was only 14 years old when she gave birth to him. He never knew his father, who was claimed to be another rapper named Dante the Gift Taylor. He has a younger brother, YNW B-Slime, who was also a rapper and pretty talented, might I add. Melly grew up in a poor, dangerous part of Gifford. He really a trench baby for real. So you already know the street organizations wasn't too far away. Naturally, he supposedly joined the Bloods gang at a young age. He started posting songs on his SoundCloud when he was 15 years old, influenced by artists like Chris Brown, Michael Jackson, and Lil Wayne. He adopted the stage name YNW Melly, which stands for Young Ninja World or Young New Wave, and co-founded a rap collective with the same name. The group included Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams, Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas Jr., and Cortland YNW Bortland Henry. Unfortunately, Melly's career was overshadowed by his legal troubles. In October 2018, he was arrested for possession of ganja and paraphernalia. In January 2019, he was arrested again for ganja. On February 13th, though, 2019, he turned himself into the authorities after being accused of deleting YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie in October of 2018. According to the police, Melly and YNW Bortland staged the scene that looked like a drive-by and then drove them to the hospital where they were pronounced deceased. Melly denied the charges and pleaded not guilty. After several years behind bars, the trial finally began on June 12, 2023, with jury selection and opening statements. The trial is expected to last for several weeks, with dozens of witnesses and experts testifying for both sides. So what I'm about to do now is give you all the details about what's been going down thus far. According to the prosecution, Demons and his associate, Cortland Malik Henry, shot and deleted Williams and Thomas on October 26, 2018 after leaving a recording studio in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They then drove around the bodies in a gray Jeep Compass for several hours before taking them to the hospital and claiming that they were targets of a drive-by hit. The prosecution alleged that Demons and Henry staged the crimes by firing shots into the car from outside and then placing the strap near Williams' body. On day 1 of the trial, June 12, 2023, the defense and prosecution laid out their cases before breaking things down. The defense seemed like they were going to make a case that YNW Bortland was in fact the hitter. YNW Melly's attorney told the jury that Bortland had gunpowder residue on his hands and was wearing a change of clothes when he dropped off Juvie and Sack Chaser's deceased bodies at the hospital. Oh man. Those were Bortland's lies, the attorney told the jury. He lies about where the incident occurred, he lies about how it occurred, and he lies about not having the phone. In a shocking addition to the trial, prosecutors went ham and tried to prove that the rapper Fredo Bang picked up YNW Melly following the alleged crime.
Frederick Givens. Frederick Givens is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Givens, then, about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop pin where Mr. Demons has moved a couple of meters.
They say that they have cell phone data that proves Melly sent Fredo his location minutes after the incident, and Fredo arrived at the location a short time later. Prosecutors have been trying to get Fredo Bang to testify in the case. He refused to answer questions in July 2022.
Fredo Bang has invoked his Fifth Amendment right to not testify, to avoid giving statements that could be used against him and that would incriminate himself.
And that's pretty much it. The prosecution also told the jury about incriminating text messages YNW Melly sent friends following the incident. This individual is reaching out, asking if Mr. Demons is good after he's been tagged in multiple social media posts about the shooting. And Mr. Demons allegedly responds, "I did that ish." The jury was then shown surveillance footage of YNW Melly leaving the studio and getting into the car that Juvie and Sack Chaser were hidden that night. In a dark turn of events, they also saw video of Sack Chaser and Juvie's lifeless bodies being pulled out of the car at the hospital, as well as photos of the red-stained clothing.
What's item J?
Picture of the jean jacket that was provided by medical staff of the deceased, or from the deceased.
With regards to this next photo of item J, there is an arrow indicating a circular area. Are you able to tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury if that is or is not a distressed portion of the jacket or is some sort of bullet defect?
Based on my experience and training, it appears to be something similar to...
It's stuff like that that really makes you feel the full impact of what actually went down. On day 2, June 13th, 2023, many interesting aspects of the case played out both in the courtroom and across social media, including a live stream video of the trial as the court was in progress via a YouTube feed. Just prior to his second court appearance, Melly promoted the trial's law and crime live stream on his own Instagram page, while prosecutors from the state of Florida looked to have the mother of YNW Juvie, born Christopher Thomas, identify her slain son on the stand. YNW Melly's defense attorneys attempted to block her from testifying. As the trial's jurors were temporarily removed from the courtroom, the defense argued that YNW Juvie's mother being allowed to testify could potentially have a serious impact on the jury. After hearing arguments from both sides, Judge John J. Murphy III decided to delay a ruling on whether or not Juvie's mom could testify until he could thoroughly look into everything. According to the Law and Crime Network, the families of both YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser become visibly frustrated at one point during the second day's proceedings when YNW Melly closed his eyes and folded his hands to pray before making what appeared to be a kiss-blowing gesture. I mean, man, can you really blame the fam? Things would be extremely sensitive during that trial and emotions would be hella high. After being shown initial footage of YNW Melly leaving the recording studio in Fort Lauderdale and getting in the same car in which the shooting occurred on the first day of the trial, jurors were shown more footage from both inside and outside of the studio. Additional key pieces of evidence presented on day 2 included photos of a Jeep Compass, which the prosecution claims Melly and his co-defendant YNW Bortland used to make it appear as if the homies were slain in a drive-by. Day 3, June 14th, featured more evidence being brought to the table for the jury. Much of the morning included testimony from firearms expert Jorge Belo, who was brought in for firearms analysis according to Law and Crime News reporter Bryson Paul. The jury also heard from a lab expert who was brought in to analyze glass fragments at the scene. A crime scene supervisor also took the stand and testified. Photos showing Bortland uninjured following the shooting were also presented to the jury. During the close of the day's session, Melly was also seen communicating with somebody in the gallery. The rapper mouthed something repeatedly and appeared to get upset. He then turned to his attorney and seemed to be having a tense conversation. That really caught the attention of the media. Perhaps bruh had that in mind. With day 4, June 15th, YNW Melly reported back to court and record exec Kevin Lyles was present during the hearing. Lyles' presence at the trial appeared to perturb the mother of YNW Sack Chaser. Forensic scientist Tara Helsell took the stand and explained the science behind the gunpowder residue to the jury.
And when we talk about GSR, or gunshot residue, you're aware that GSR can be found on clothes, right?
Yes, that's possible.
Did Detective Moretti send you any clothes of Cortland Henry?
He did not.
After that, the prosecution showed evidence from YNW Melly's Snapchat. The judge, John Murphy III, denied the prosecution's attempt to present Snapchat memories because a firearm and money were present, calling the video prejudicial. Following the ruling, Melly and his defense attorney, David A. Howard, shared a fist bump. More viral moments, huh, man? In a case of really good luck, Melly received another win when the judge ruled that the music video for Schmurder on My Mind could not be used in court. That was actually huge for real. Next, Felicia Holmes, the mother of YNW Melly's former girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, took the stand for the prosecution. Cold-blooded, man. It was presented that Holmes had inside knowledge of the incident, but was paid to keep quiet. They showed the jury Instagram posts from Holmes complaining about the fact that the money was never sent. Wait until this trial, the message reads. I'm doing what I should have done in the beginning. They can call me Mrs. Snitch B.
If you think I was a beast before, wait until this trial. I'm not holding anything back. I'm doing what I should have done in the beginning. They can call me Miss Snitch.
Holmes testified that the state ruined her life and intimidated her into taking the stand.
How are you today?
Not good.
Are you cold?
No, I'm just, I don't feel comfortable.
Are you nervous?
I feel threatened.
In the twist, YNW Melly's attorney pushed for a mistrial toward the close of the day, accusing the prosecution of having Holmes present out-of-court statements to the jury. There was a small disturbance at the end of the day when YNW Sack Chaser's mother told Melly, "I'm not going anywhere." She was asked to leave by authorities, in which YNW Melly reportedly got a big laugh out of it. That's crazy, bruh. Day 5, June 16th, after a short delay due to a hospitalized juror, the day started with the news that the judge had denied YNW Melly's attorney's motion for a mistrial. I'm sure they was hurt by that one. There was also an issue of a juror questioning a bailiff about the mistrial motion before it was announced. The juror was then asked how they knew about the mistrial. The juror in question said that they heard about the motion last week from a defense attorney and had not found out from outside media or independent research, which would have then been grounds to have the juror removed. Both sides ultimately decided it was okay to let the juror stay on the trial. The first person to take the stand was emergency response worker Susanna Johnson, who discussed cell phone technology. A member of law enforcement also testified on the topic. This was the basis of pretty much the whole day, with the continuous objections and sidebars added into the mix. Typical trial BS. Day 6 of the trial was June 19th, 2023, and the proceedings continue with FBI Special Agent Brendan Collins, who continued with analysis of cell phone data.
What can you tell us about where the blue phone and the red phone were at 3:20?
So generally in the area around New Era Studios.
Okay. As you're moving across the slide, what are we looking at?
So we see a series of towers that the red phone and the blue phone were observed by as they move from east to west. So you see there's a line of towers generally in this area, kind of along 595.
Boring. However, YNW Melly received another win when the judge ruled that the prosecution committed discovery violations by trying to submit forensic evidence that was not previously disclosed.
And that seems to me to be a Richardson violation. The discovery that's ongoing, you know about it, and you're not telling them about it until we're here in court. So as far as already is concerned, I think that's a discovery violation. And I'm finding it to be a discovery violation. I just think the only way it can be cured is he's not going to testify about this second procedure that happened. That's not coming in. And that's new discovery. You know, the defense doesn't have an opportunity to depose the witness. The defense doesn't have an opportunity to do X, Y, and Z. And that's just not the way it should be.
As a result, that evidence would not be allowed to be used in the case. Also, Melly saw another witness testimony go in his favor when a DNA expert admitted that Melly's DNA was only found on the rear driver's side door handle of the car where the incident took place and not on any items found in the vehicle. Next, BSO Crime Lab DNA analyst Kurt Rhodes testified that Melly's DNA was among 3 other people on the scene. This makes things complicated if you ask me. That was pretty much it for the day though. Day 7, June 20th, things started off with testimony from undercover agent Danny Polo, who requested he take the stand with a mask on to conceal his identity due to his occupation. The agent explained he has a $50,000 bounty on his head as reasoning for the strange request. Judge John Murphy III allowed the request despite objection from YNW Melly's defense team. The mask issue took another turn when a juror revealed that they were uncomfortable with Polo's face covering, which led to another delay. Next, the prosecution went into a deep dive about YNW Melly's phone records in an attempt to prove that the messages on the phone are pertinent evidence to the case. Melly's defense team tried to shoot down the assertion that all of the messages were Melly's. Ultimately, Judge Murphy allowed the phone evidence to be presented. Agent Danny Polo continued his testimony for the prosecution by giving expert opinion on YNW Melly's alleged gang ties. Polo analyzed Melly's social media accounts and attempted to tie the South Florida rapper to gang activity based on photos and videos on Instagram and Twitter. At this moment, this is all I've been able to cover, but if you guys run this one up, I will do a follow-up with more breakdowns for y'all, so show some love. It is my assumption that next week is when the jury will have to decide whether Demons is guilty or not guilty of 2 counts of first-degree hit. If they find him guilty, they will also decide whether to recommend the end-of-your-life penalty or life without parole. Under Florida law, at least 8 of the 12 jurors must agree on the penalty for it to be official. Otherwise, the judge will impose a life sentence. Until the next video, stay smart, stay alert, and stay real. I'm out, y'all.